I feel my communications may finally bear some fruit.
When we were starting to make Silent Running, I was, I think, 28 years old. We were prepping it in 1969 and 1970. We made it. I had done 2001: A Space Odyssey visual effects. I had also done, subsequent to that, the visual effects for the Andromeda Strain for Robert Wise. And I was doing a lot of television commercials and making a living, keeping the doors open. But I had an idea that maybe it was possible to think about making a movie. It was kind of an evolutionary thing during those days. I never necessarily believed that I could direct a movie, but I had ideas for a movie, and Silent Running emerged and got a green light, and we made the movie.
How are you today? You feeling good?
The evolution of the Silent Running idea began with a treatment which I wrote, which was titled Silent Running. And that treatment involved a man and drones on a space freighter in deep space. Some conflict happened, I can't remember what it was, but anyway, he got to be where he was totally alone, only with the drones, no other human contact. Surrounding the Andromeda Strain, I was also working on various other projects and meeting interesting people, and I came into contact with Michael Gruskoff because he was the agent of another filmmaker friend of mine who I was working on some ideas about a UFO movie, and I met Michael and I ended up showing Michael this treatment I wrote, and he was very close with Ned Tannen, a young executive at Universal. And it was a very fortunate time in history because just that few months before, a movie called Easy Rider had come out of nowhere, a completely independent, low-budget film with Peter Fonda, and made a sizable amount of money according to Hollywood standards. And Universal was very intrigued with the idea of experimenting with making 5 films for $1 million apiece with relatively unknown emerging directors, writers, and actors, and giving them a chance to do what would be like an independent film so that it wouldn't interfere, they wouldn't tell us how to do it, we'd have final cut as long as it was $1 million. So there were 5 films made, and Silent Running was one of that series. Suits, walk with these suits, lift these suits, get fresh air inside, so there had to be a kind of a slotted front, which became an integral part of the design, and there was young designers from Long Beach State College who were part of our crew. So we all worked together and put together basically a styrene plastic vacuum-formed, very thin shell that could be worn like a backpack. My mood throughout the making of Silent Running was to bring an emotional warmth and charm and kind of sweetness.
Drone number 2, you will answer to the name of Huey.
So at every opportunity, I tried to really warm the film up with ideas like that. And Huey, Dewey, and Louie were 3 of my favorite comic book heroes, with Donald Duck's nephews, and Scrooge McDuck. It was one of the funniest cartoons I'd ever seen. And
Huey?
so there just seemed to be sets of that complexity out of junk or normal set construction techniques. And I had this idea of looking for some kind of ship that we could go on board and either paint it or modify it a little bit. And we contacted the Navy and actually looked at quite a few different ships, battleships and troop ships, and didn't look at submarines because that was much too confining and much too small. But we ended up being introduced to this aircraft carrier, the Valley Forge, which was parked in the Long Beach Naval Station. And it was uniquely available because it was decommissioned. It was no longer to be used for any purpose. And shortly in the future, it was going to be cut up for scrap metal. So it was available for a very low price. We rented it from the Navy, some like $2,000 a week to rent a whole aircraft carrier, as long as we just didn't remove any metal. So we were in there with all of our pals with cutting torches, ripping out doorways and making some changes and adding these vacuum-formed styrene plant-on things to kind of slightly change the look. Repainted the interior, put in rubber flooring in the interior, and relit it, but basically used 90% of what was already there.